Tēnā koutou, katoa, kui, hui, maine. No ingana o tupuna. I whanau mai aho, East Oak-on-Trent. Ko Alison Murray, toka ingoa. Kei te tahuhu o te mataranga, ahu e mahiana. He poto mo whiwhiana aho. I'm Alison Murray, and I'm the Director of Procurement for Education Infrastructure Services. I'm here today to talk to you about how the Ministry of Education is investing in the future of our schools' infrastructure. But first, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background to the group that I work within the Ministry, because infrastructure is about property, but it's slightly wider. So EIS, or Education Infrastructure Service, was set up in 2013, mainly to manage the Crown's school property portfolio. And as well as school property, we're also responsible for the largest payroll in the country, and we're also the second largest purchaser of passenger transport, and we help over 100,000 students to get to school every day. A few big numbers on there. We might talk about some of those numbers in a second. So in terms of school property, this service was offered by ES has grown enormously since when it was first created in 2013. So I think I can maybe trump you slightly, Ministry of Health. We're the second largest property portfolio, and Kangaroo is going to probably beat me next by telling me that they're the largest. So we have the largest social property portfolio in the country with a replacement value of over 31 billion. And we support 2,100 state schools to maintain more than 15,000 school buildings. So following the 1989 education reform, Tomorrow's Schools, and before EIS was created, it was and is still the responsibility of School Board of Trustees to maintain the school property. And while some schools have done this really well, others have struggled. So one of the biggest challenges for school infrastructure, therefore, is the fact that we have an ageing property portfolio with more than 33% of all buildings that were first built between 40 and 50 years ago. So our role now has been working with these schools that haven't been well maintained and to address what are some very complex legacy property issues. So as EIS, we manage all the large and complex infrastructure projects, and this currently amounts to about 70% of projects by value. And this is up from about 25% in 2010. It's the responsibility of schools to manage the remaining projects, which deliver most of those projects by volume, a lot smaller in value and a lot less complex. To give you so those projects for schools may be a few thousand up to maybe a million or so. But then Education Infrastructure Service manage those projects, which can range from a few 100,000 up to tens and hundreds of millions. And historically, we've also put in place 3 PPPs. So it gives you a range, and I'm trying to give you some size of complexity in terms of our infrastructure requirements. It ranges from very small to very large, and managing that pipeline is an extremely difficult challenge. In addition to the challenge of that historic portfolio, we also estimate that we're going to need a further 100,000 student places in high-growth population areas by 2030, and this is not insignificant in itself. The Ministry's purpose is to shape an education system that delivers equitable and excellent outcomes. And we have a target that all schools are having quality learning environments by 2030. In June, we published the Taki Rauakura 2030, the School Property Strategy 2030, which provides the direction for how we will achieve those quality learning environments. Now, if you do want to have a look at this is on our, I'm giving a plug, it's on our education website. You can get much more detail there. But the strategy sets out the long-term direction for how we'll manage school property to support that government's target of quality learning environments by 2030. It provides a framework for any improvements that the Ministry will make and our continued effort to support schools to manage school property effectively. The strategy has 4 key objectives, and these are quality learning environments so that school property meets the agreed standards to support schools and teachers to succeed. It's a sustainable portfolio where the policies, planning and investment optimise long-term social, environmental and economic benefits. That's well managed, that everyone understands their role and how to manage school property and are supported to deliver that. And has, in fact, this one for me is the most important, has equitable outcomes, that diversity is recognised and schools and students with the greatest needs are prioritised. In 2019 and 20 financial year, we spent more than $1 billion we spent more than $1 billion on school property, and we're forecasting this year to have an even greater spend than that. And this is to progressively improve the condition of schools to ensure that school property is well maintained. Last year, we also had the school investment package, which was a one-off capital injection of $400 million for all state schools to accelerate planned upgrades. In addition, a 3-year work programme is currently underway to upgrade classrooms of up to 600 small and remote schools with a budget of $160 million. Now, this programme focuses on improving the condition of classrooms for learners, and those improvements target key aspects of the learning environment, and these are linked to fitness for purpose, operational efficiency and condition. So some of those elements are RCDs, LED lighting, acoustic panelling, things which might seem minor but actually makes a huge difference to those learning environments for children. Our National School Redevelopment Programme was set up to upgrade schools with the most complex property infrastructure needs. For this programme, we're taking an evidence-based approach, so using our condition assessment and asset plans to prioritise the investment according to those schools with the most urgent need. As you can imagine, we have a huge range of schools that have a differing level of requirements, and that pipeline and that prioritisation of investment is one of our greatest challenge, and that's why we're having to take a more evidence-based approach to ensure that we target the needs where it's most applicable. It's important to remember that we're also investing in schools on an annual basis. We provide over $250 million a year directly to schools to help them to maintain their school property. One of the key aspects when looking at our investment in schools, particularly around new schools and new classrooms, is around having a priority to make sure the strategy for school design is there to make sure that we do achieve those quality learning environments. So as part of that, we've looked to create a suite of reference designs. And I'm going to cheat a little bit now. So rather than listen to me, I'm going to get you to watch a bit of a video, and then I'll just talk a little bit about it after. Yes? No?
Our purpose is to shape an education system that delivers excellent outcomes and excellent outcomes.
Aotearoa Property Strategy 2030 sets our direction for ensuring we have a sustainable school portfolio where all schools have access to quality learning environments. By 2030, one way we can ensure all schools have access to quality learning environments is by using our school teaching block reference designs.
School designs that we know have delivered consistent quality outcomes and provide a durable built
Here in New
asset.
Zealand, we face
Here in New Zealand, we face a particular range of physical challenges with our buildings.
Seismic
We have
activity,
high seismic
we have
activity,
high ultraviolet
we
light,
have
which
high
degrades our
ultraviolet
building
light,
products,
which degrades
makes
our
them
building
break
products
down.
and makes them
We
break
have
down.
high rainfall.
We have
in some
high
areas
rainfall.
we're facing
In
coastal
some
erosion,
areas
we're
we're facing
facing
coastal
coastal
erosion,
erosion,
and even
risk of
some
tsunami. There is even geothermal activity, which can be very corrosive
which can be very corrosive
in
on
building
foundations
products.
and
These
building
reference
products.
designs generally
These
have
reference
strong
designs
steel
generally
portal
have
frames
strong
that
steel
resist
portal
earthquake
frames that
movement,
resist
and they can be
earthquake
built
movement,
bigger
and
and
they can be
stronger
built
for
bigger
schools
and stronger
more
for
severe
schools
earthquake
in
zones.
more severe
More and
earthquake
more,
zones.
our school
More and
designs
more,
are using
our school
a lot of
designs are
locally
using
grown
a lot
timber.
of locally
It's
grown
lightweight,
timber.
it's versatile and
lightweight,
resilient,
it's versatile
and our
and resilient,
extensive renewable
and our
forests
extensive renewable
act as a carbon
forests
sink,
act as a carbon
offsetting our
sink,
carbon footprint.
offsetting our
We're
carbon
continuing
footprint.
to expand
We're continuing
and
to
strengthen our
expand
reference
and
designs.
strengthen our
We're
reference
using different
designs.
materials. We're using different
building our
materials,
supply chains,
building
and
our supply
evaluating them to
chains,
make sure
and
they're
evaluating them to make sure they're delivering
durable
quality,
buildings,
which
durable
most importantly,
buildings,
which
a
most
great
importantly,
teaching and learning
a great
environments
teaching
for
and
our
learning
students.
environments
These
for our
designs are our
students.
first
These
choice for
designs
building
are our first
upgrades
choice
and
for
new
building
school
upgrades
buildings.
and
They'll
new
help
school
us meet our
buildings.
targets
They'll
for
help us meet our
2030
targets for
and
2030 and beyond.
As I said, I cheated. It's better to get somebody else to talk than you. I think why I wanted to show the video, though, was it's useful to actually see the schools. I could stand here and talk to you, but one, you get to see what some of those new school environments look like. But I think the interesting fact about the video is it talks about some of the challenges we face when we're looking at our investment, which is not only around those school sites. Every school site is different and has a different challenge in terms of where it is, whether it's location near to water in an urban environment, but also it's important that the school and the local community have a say in terms of what their school, the look and feel and what that delivers. But reference designs allows us to have a standard approach which is adaptable for the location, the community and the school in terms of their pedagogy. Another area which we've been looking into is, or not looking into, we've actually developed and are now implementing, is modular buildings. And this is one of our quickest and most affordable property solutions. Because modular buildings can be delivered on average in just 6 months, they can be used quickly to respond to those challenges we face, such as role growth, or in a crisis such as earthquake, flooding, or fire. They require less maintenance than traditional classrooms and have an intended lifespan of 50 plus years, which is the same as some of our traditional classroom buildings. Modular buildings meet, and in some cases, exceed all of the ministry design standards. Okay, so I am kind of full. I feel like we should have compared our notes a little bit, Carl. So in terms of needing to keep improving the portfolio and to deliver against this significant pipeline of projects, we recognise that we do need to work with industry to deliver on the required investment of $12 billion by 2030. The Prime Minister yesterday, and Carl, no, the Prime Minister yesterday mentioned that building back better, procurement cannot be the race to the bottom. And look, for education, I acknowledge historically we have been seen as an agency as an unfair balance of risk in our contracts and our focus on the lowest price. But we recognised early on in our journey as EIS the importance of industry and suppliers to help us to deliver on our strategic objectives. We started, as I said, 6 years ago in terms of how we change how we engage with industry and suppliers and changing our procurement approach. And a key element of this change is that we do work hard to understand and to listen to industry. So I do want to give a bit of a shout out for the Construction Sector Accord. At this point, it is a joint commitment from government and industry to work together to create a high-performing construction sector for better New Zealand. We're a signatory of the Accord, and as a major construction client, we're also a member of a number of the various groups and forums of the Accord. An important focus of the Accord programme is to improve culture within the sector, and that's both on the client and the supplier side. And we're really proud to be a part of this shared commitment. And my challenge to you is that you need to get involved. This change can only happen when everyone commits to the behaviours and actions that are in the Accord. And if you haven't done so already, go and find out about it. That's my promotion for the Accord today. So, and of course, I'm from procurement, so I'm going to finish off with a few procurement things. And this is related in terms of how we're changing how we deliver the investment for school property. So as I've said, we've worked really hard over the last few years in changing our approach. And that one of those changes around the risk in our contracts, not only our professional services, but also for our main contractors as well. We wanted to make sure that those terms were fit for purpose, relevant and fair. We see that it's essential for education to be a client of choice in the market, because let's face it, capacity in the market is still a big challenge now and in the future. And if we need to deliver education infrastructure, we need the market to be there with us. We're looking to move from more of a transactional approach to a much more strategic approach. And we're using our existing supplier arrangements to help us to do that. We've worked hard at identifying our pipeline of work and looking to share that with industry and much more detail and a longer plan than we've ever done before. We currently are looking at 100 projects with a value of 170 million, which we're looking to package up and deliver through our strategic supplier relationships. And the packaging of work is either in an area of a region or over a period of time. And how we're doing that is actually talking to those suppliers to say, what's the best way to arrange these 100 projects? In which way and in which timescales. So we're not just going out to market and saying, here you go, this is what you're going to deliver. We're asking them how we deliver it and which timescales and how best to phase them. Taking this approach will help us to drive more consistent outcomes. It'll enable suppliers to invest in their businesses and their people and supports those procurement outcomes. Our intent is to use our size and scale to support the construction market consistently now and in the long term. We're looking to engage early with suppliers in more collaborative contract arrangements. And some examples of these, and I think this was touched on yesterday by Infracom, although I missed that session, is the Marlborough schools, but we're also, which we're currently in the tender process for, but we also have done this arrangement in terms of new primary schools in the Auckland region. I could probably talk about procurement stuff forever and ever, but I won't. And a bit like Carl, it's been a long journey for us, but there's also much more opportunity to improve and innovate with industry. So hopefully I've given you this morning a little of insight into school property, the size, the scale of the portfolio, the challenges that we're facing in managing that portfolio and to continue to meet the demand and prioritisation of investment. We need to make sure that our strategy is flexible and can continue to adapt to the challenges that we face. It's essential that we are also there to build back better, not only for our children now, but for future generations to come. Thank you for your time this morning. Norea tena koto, tena tatua katoa.